When you're looking at a new piece of pool equipment, the first thing that pops into most people's heads is the fear of spending a lot of money only to end up with a system that never quite fits their backyard or their schedule. I've been in that spot more than once, staring at spec sheets and wondering whether the promise of low maintenance really holds up when you're juggling a family, a job, and the occasional summer gathering. That's why today's review is all about cutting through the hype and figuring out if the Jandy PureLink Cell Kit truly delivers on the claims that matter most to everyday pool owners. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the PureLink Cell is designed for pools up to 40,000 gallons, which puts it squarely in the large residential or small commercial category. If your pool is anything less than that, you'll likely be paying for capacity you'll never need. If it's larger, you'll be underservicing it and could end up with chlorine levels that swing wildly. That capacity threshold is the first litmus test. Know your pool's volume, and you'll instantly know whether this kit is even in the right ballpark. Installation is where the rubber meets the road for most pool owners. Jandy offers both horizontal and vertical mounting options, which sounds flexible on paper but translates into very practical decisions once you pull the box out of the crate. A horizontal setup usually slides in under the existing filter housing, meaning you can keep most of your current plumbing in place. That's a big win if you have limited space around your pump room and want to avoid a major remodel. On the other hand, a vertical orientation can be a better fit if your equipment pad is narrow but tall, letting you use the existing wall brackets without having to bend the tubing into awkward angles. The kit includes the necessary adapters for both configurations, but you still need to be comfortable with basic plumbing, cutting PVC, tightening unions, and making sure you have a proper ground connection for the cell. If you've never done a pool retrofit before, you might want to budget a couple of hours of professional help, which adds $150, $300 on top of the kit's price. One of the biggest draws of any salt chlorine system is the promise of no more chlorine tablets. In practice, the PureLink Cell does exactly that. It converts dissolved salt into chlorine through electrolysis, maintaining a steady chlorine residual as long as the cell is running and the salt level stays within the recommended range, usually 5,004 ppm. For a family that likes to swim after school or for a weekend barbecue, that means you can skip the weekly chore of measuring and dumping chlorine granules. The real value shows up when you compare the ongoing cost of salt, roughly $20 for a 40 pounds bag that lasts months, to the recurring purchase of chlorine, which can run $30, $50 a month for a medium-sized pool. Over a year, the savings can easily offset the initial outlay of the PureLink kit. But there are hidden trade-offs that only become clear after the first few weeks of use. The cell itself is a consumable part. Jandy rates its lifespan at around 35 years under normal conditions. If you live in an area with hard water or if your pool sees a lot of debris, the cell can accumulate scale faster, forcing you to either clean it more often or replace it sooner. The kit does not include a dedicated cleaning solution, so you'll need to buy a descaling product separately. That's an extra cost many first-time buyers overlook. Another practical point is the control interface. The PureLink Cell itself is a dumb component. It simply sits in the water line and does the electrolysis. You still need a compatible controller to set the output and monitor the salt level. Jandy's own Aqua controllers are sold separately and integrate seamlessly. But if you already have a different brand's control panel, you'll have to verify compatibility or accept limited functionality, like not being able to set a boost mode for heavy pool use. For DIY enthusiasts who enjoy a single panel setup, this could be a stumbling block. So, who should actually consider buying the Jandy PureLink Cell? If you own a pool that falls within the 20-40 gallon range, already have a decent pump and filter system, and are comfortable either doing a modest plumbing job yourself or hiring a local pro for a short install, this kit is a solid fit. It shines for households that swim regularly and want to eliminate the weekly chore of handling chlorine tablets. It also makes sense for homeowners who are already invested in Jandy's ecosystem, because the controller integration is seamless and the brand's warranty support is well known. The one-year manufacturer warranty gives you a safety net for any early defects, though it's not as generous as the 3-year guarantees you see on some competing brands. Conversely, you might want to skip this kit if any of the following apply. Your pool is under 15,000 gallons, you're on a tight budget, and